everyone, welcome back to another episode of Uplift. Joining me this week are members of the Project Truth team of this year. Welcome everyone. Louise, so can you tell me what exactly is Project Truth and how can people apply?
Yeah, thanks for having us. It's great to be here. So Project Truth is a street outreach initiative for young people of Spuck, and it's been running for almost 10 years now. It started in 2013 and it started as monthly outreach stalls, but then quickly took on the model of doing a summer roadshow. So since then, every year we've done a summer roadshow, and we've trained young people from all across the UK. People have came from Ireland as well to join us, train them up, and we go out onto the streets. We've specifically been doing it in Scotland during that time, but we hope to expand in the rest of the UK soon. Go around, chat to people about pro-life issues as well, and all the while kind of taking into account the importance of people who have been damaged by abortion. There's so many people in society that have been damaged, so take that into account as well. If we meet anybody, chat to them about that, and hopefully kind of pass them on to further help if they need that as well. And if anyone's struggling in a crisis pregnancy, we're there to do that as well. So it is sort of all-encompassing as well. We're speaking to people about pro-life issues, but at the same time we're there to help as well. Yeah,
exactly, holistic approach. Thank you. So Jonas, how did you get involved with Project Truth?
The first time I heard about it was at the Spuck Youth Conference, essentially this year, and it was the first time I came across even any involvement to do with this issue. I had kind of my own transition of ethical beliefs where I eventually realized that all life is valuable, regardless of whether it is something that we desire or not. But for the longest time, it was very much a private thing between myself and just a couple of people that I knew. And so it was quite interesting and exciting to come across the fact that there are whole organizations and outreach projects that deal with it. So yes, the first time I heard about it was at the Spuck Youth Conference, where there were a lot of fascinating lectures on the topic and great people from different fields to chat to about the issue.
Oh, brilliant. And so Caitlin, how did you get involved then?
It was a few years ago that I got involved, and I think it was just that I got in touch with Louise after being involved in a more political group where I felt that pro-life views were very much in the minority and that something had to be done about it, and then just was looking for another channel to get involved, just because I saw it as a really important issue, and then managed to get in touch with Louise, and she asked me to apply for Project Truth, just guided me to where to sign up for.
Brilliant. And were there any key takeaways from your week at Project Truth?
Yeah, I think there's always key takeaways from each time I've been. There's been a specific person or specific stories that I've remembered, but I think in general, like, the most important thing to do is to listen to other people, regardless of what they have to say. Before, I think I was, when I was going in a bit more passionately with my beliefs, but I think sometimes you need to find a bit of common ground with someone before they can start to understand you as well. So even if they're saying something that you completely don't agree with.
Like, the listening is one of the best tools that you have as well, because it's exactly that thing. You need to listen to other people's perspective, and it's not always, you can't assume that the person you were speaking to last came to the same pro-choice belief as the same person you're speaking to just now, so you need to really listen to see how they've come to that perspective. And then I find that we quite often have stuff in common, and we have the same beliefs in some things to some people, but it's just we've came to different conclusions about it, so it's good to chat it out.
Yeah. Louise, something that you said to me at the start, we do training before Project Truth, and Louise said something about the mountain in the middle, which means that most of the people you meet, rather than being polarised on the left and right, which is what we see in the media, they're all in the middle, and they haven't really thought about it properly. So really we're there to discuss these issues with strangers, and it's really good discussion happens.
Brilliant.
You still listen to me.
Yeah. This is great. And so what made you get involved then, Maria?
Again, it was the Spuck conference this year. I talked to Louise about it, and I knew that it was something I was very passionate about because I went to an all-girls school, and I was the one pro-life girl in my class through the whole 7 years. And when I went to the Spuck conference and I met all these people who also held the same beliefs, it kind of made me think into my reasoning, and I realised that I want other people to have the opportunity to talk to pro-lifers, because the way pro-lifers are portrayed in the media right now is just completely incorrect, and I want to challenge that stereotype and show people that we aren't these like nasty, women-hating group of people. Exactly, yeah. There's most of the people on pro-life were women, and that surprised a lot of the Scottish public, because they thought, you know, pro-life is anti-woman, and that's not the case at all.
It's like, you know, the reason why Project Truth is so good, because even if in the conversation the person doesn't change their mind, change their views, at least they'll walk away being like, actually, that person's not a monster.
Yes.
Because they come into the conversation sometimes quite like, oh, this person's a horrible person, but actually by the end of it, you know, I've had people being like, do you know what, I still don't really agree with what you're saying, but I'm really glad I had this conversation. You know, I'm really glad that you're out here doing it, you know, and that's a great thing to do as well, because then it kind of, the next time they might come across something like that, they might get a bit more open to listening as well. So.
And so, Jonas, what was the best part of being on the street with Project Truth?
At the end of the day, was just having live conversations without the usual illusionary shield of a screen, which is how, unfortunately, a lot of these discussions happen nowadays, where anyone can pretend to be anything else and kind of dish out whatever they wouldn't say out on the streets. And I think that real presence of another person in a way that you're discussing with them and can make eye contact even, they're very, very important things that we often tend to underestimate in the age of technology, in that you can even detect subtle changes in the person's facial expressions and their tone of voice when they start speaking about specific aspects of the issue, which can, to, you know, someone who's kind of making them fill in a questionnaire or just asking them questions, it can make salient how gentler, for example, you have to approach an issue, because there are some people who have been deeply traumatized by it, and if you just start throwing arguments at them, they're not going to, you know, they're not going to suffer any kind of change. Funny way to put it, but yeah. So I think the best part is just speaking to people in real life at the end of the day, and it's the one-on-one conversations primarily, because a lot of the kind of aggression that we get when we get them at the stalls rely on a mob mentality. And we have often seen that it's people who by themselves are very reasonable and very calm about it, even though they disagree. When there's an audience factor, it's just, you know, there is that kind of pressure that either you have to be aggressive with us or you're with them, in a sense. And that makes a lot of people who are on that fence tip into the other side just because of fear.
I think that's why we see the big, like all of the pro-choice mantra all over the internet is exactly that, what you've just described.
And it's exactly that. It's avoiding the mantras as well, because slogans, in that sense, we can both, you know, both sides can throw around slogans ad infinitum, but it's with proper discussions and listening and responses that are tailored almost individually to each person, not in a way that compromises the truth, but in a way that adapts it and makes it more understandable to each individual person that you're speaking with. Makes it so much more valuable, I think, because that indicates that it's a real living conversation, as opposed to just showing tablets of text to each other, as it kind of happens online.
Exactly. And so, Maria, did you feel that your confidence increased over the week with Project Truth as a pro-lifer?
I'd definitely say on the first day we were in Edinburgh, so we hand out leaflets and we try and engage in conversation. And I was shaking as I was handing out the leaflet. And you know, some woman came up to me and she said, "I can tell you're nervous." And I was like, "Can you?" And that made me even more nervous. But as soon as I had my first productive conversation with a girl my age, my nerves went down completely, and I thought, this is good. This is what we need to be doing. So by the end of the week, I was handing out leaflets left, right, and centre.
This is what I love. See, as a leader, though, it's one of my favourite things, though, is seeing. So you get people like that at the start, where they're maybe, they don't even want to hand out the leaflet, they're hiding behind the stall, and then you kind of encourage them to go and do that. And even by giving out the leaflets, you're encourage them to not only just give a leaflet and the person walk away, but engage in conversation with that person and maybe chat through the stuff that's on the leaflet and things like that. So by the end of the week, what you see is people gaining confidence, and then they're out there straight away on the last day. Everyone's putting the stall up, and they're flying out there ready to do the questionnaires and the leaflets and stuff. And it's, as a leader, it's one of the best things to see, you know, to see
definitely.
these young people gaining the confidence, and then
Change.
part of the idea of it is for them to then go feeling more confident and to be able to have these conversations with their peers and, you know, family and things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah, it's so vital. So Caitlin, were there any hard moments for you on Project Truth?
Yeah, I always find it difficult when people have more like experiences of abortion, or maybe they've been hurt by abortion, or, you know, I spoke to like a girl in Glasgow, not this year, but I think it was last year, and yeah, I just remember her kind of telling me a personal story, and for me, I think in that moment it's hard not to be upset for the person, because you can see how much they're hurting if they've really been affected by it. And what kind of like got me at that point was the fact that she was with a friend, and the friend tried to move her away from the stall. They weren't really sure what the stall was about, and when I approached them, like, she was quite happy to tell me and quite happy to like just discuss what had happened to her with me. And like, although all you can really do in that point is just listen and reassure them and direct them towards like the support that's available, which is also a really good thing that's on the leaflets. I love giving out the leaflets, and just like saying to people, even if you're not pro-life, or even if you're not going to change your mind right now, please take this away with you, because somebody might need it. So I find that personally quite challenging, more challenging than conflict. I know that like other people would find conflict more challenging, but I definitely find that hard to like stay stronger in that moment than that person, because you kind of have to in that moment. But it's good, it's rewarding, because at the end of the conversation, like, you see that person has like, they've obviously needed to speak to somebody in that point, or they've obviously needed to get something off their chest, or they've needed to reflect on it, or they've needed to just somebody there to hear them. And I think that's something that we hear a lot as well, is that women who go through the painful experience of abortion and have painful experiences of abortion, they don't feel heard, they don't feel like there's anyone there for them afterwards. So I just feel it's surprising to see the amount of pain that people are just carrying about with them on the streets.
The word is so stigmatised. Just as soon as you bring it up into a conversation, the room's polarised. So I think us being out there on the streets, it was just a place for people to talk, because they knew we were strangers, and they knew that we'd never see them again, and they just came up with their stories, and it was so moving hearing personal experiences.
It's really humbling as well.
Yes.
They would open up. I was so surprised when back in the day when I first started doing it, I was like, gosh, so many people open up to you. And I didn't expect that, you know, but like you say, it's just like somebody, maybe they just feel they need to get something off their chest, and actually a lot of them will thank you for the conversation.
And also,
it was really
not only so many people open up, but you're surprised at how many people are affected by abortion. Because we have this conception that it's people, you know, just there's your friend of a friend of a friend will have an abortion, but it's not. There's a lot of women going through this, or a lot of men whose wives or girlfriends have had an abortion, or sisters, and that they're dealing with it emotionally as well. So I think it's really important to have the discussion and open up about it and stop it being so stigmatised.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many people, like, for, you know, over 50 years of abortion in the UK. You think of the amount of people
a lot of
that walk
people.
past that stall that have
Exactly.
been
Think about it.
maybe not directly, but somebody they know is. Which is why I think it is always really, you know, with the training, I have always tried to include how do we speak to, you know, those who have been damaged by abortion, and how do we help them. You know, I've always thought that's a really important thing that we need to include in our training, because so many people are affected by it.
It almost makes me quite angry afterwards, because not angry with the person, but just angry that nobody can see that these women and families deserve so much better. Like, I don't understand another situation where it would be acceptable to put somebody through that kind of trauma and then just let them walk down the street and spill out their life to a person at a stall. You know, any other kind of mental health situation is being very highly prioritised and very highly, you know, there's lots of campaign groups out prioritising mental health at the minute, and that's a huge factor that's influencing mental health if women are going through that, and they're going through it in secret, and nobody knows about it a lot of the time. But yeah, the contacts and things and the organisations on the back of the leaflet, even like people who maybe like you've had a conversation and they're disagreeing with you, or, you know, they might need help, or, you know, a lot. I don't think it's I don't think it's controversial that we've put that on the back of the leaflet. Actually, I think everyone, regardless of whether they're pro-life or consider themselves pro-choice, everyone likes to see, you know, those like contact numbers, and everyone thinks that's a good thing. There was a lady I spoke to as well who was a doctor, who she wasn't going to change her stance. She was very pro-choice, and I just said to her, well, here are some contacts, like, you know, that these are people that women can go to if they don't know what choice to make.
Exactly.
Or
That's
if
the
they don't
important
think
thing.
they have a choice.
For a lot of women, abortion is their only choice. So where's the choice in that? By providing them with the numbers and saying, oh, you know, if you're in a crisis pregnancy, if you're struggling with abortion, we're giving them a choice. So that's the way I kind of try to get across it, the message to the public.
Exactly. So Louise, how can people who are watching this, young people who are tuning in, how can they apply to Project Truth? What is the process?
Well, basically get in touch with me. It's one of these like TikTok things where you drop point. You can add my email.
Yes, her email will be below this video.
So basically get in touch with me. We usually have an application process because there's quite a lot of people that are interested in getting involved. So at the youth conference, that's the place where I open up the applications, and we usually do a wee plug for it, and you get loads of people signing up there, and I'll send them the application
At the youth conference.
and then we will pick the team members from there. So
From there, okay, great. And so, Maria, have you been involved in pro-life work at your campus and university?
So in terms of university, I think it's very tricky holding a pro-life stance. Obviously, a lot of people do either in secret or among small groups of friends, but there's a lot of instances at unis where like a pro-life organisation has been set up and then the SU's either banned it or they've said, oh, you know, you can't come to our Freshers' Fair. Or they've gone to the Freshers' Fair and then other students have gone and torn down their posters. So I just like to say for any students who have gone through that, like, we're here to help you, just contact Spark. There's loads of organisations that I think can help students at uni if you've got a pro-life view and you want to set up a society. But I think we're in the process of setting one up now, but it's more challenging than we thought. But even if you are at uni and you're scared to set up a society, it's just about the conversations you have with your friends and your family. Don't be afraid to tell people that you're pro-life. It's not a bad thing. That's why so many people are scared to say it. And I think that there are more people on the fence than we think at uni. Yeah. And when someone opens up, they then feel more confident and they then approach the conversation at a different angle.
And this is why it's good to have the social aspect as well, because you know, part of Project Truth as well is obviously you're out there, you're doing your outreach, you're doing your work, but there's a great social aspect to it as well. And the young people are meeting like-minded other young people, and we form really good friendships as the week goes on. So people get really close, and it's you know, and it's great because we need each other's support.
And I really felt that this is my first Project Truth, and after the sessions in the day, so we'd be out in the streets maybe for 4 hours, and then we'd come back to the hostel, we'd get cars, we'd get drinks, and you know, we'd just I'd organise all the card games, Irish Snap, and I love that because in my childhood, I had my siblings and I had my parents and I had the old people at church, and that they were the pro-life people I knew. And it was so nice just seeing people my age being pro-life, and I really, really enjoyed the summer.
I had a couple of people as well, like after posting about Project Truth along the way, just little posts on my personal social media accounts. You know, I just got subtle messages from people now and again, oh, what's this that you're doing? And I would just reply, it's this, and like refer to the Project Truth Facebook or whatever. And it's just like quite nice for other people as well to see like big groups of young people being involved in pro-life issues.
So Louise, are there any more opportunities for young people in the UK to get involved with SPUC?
Yeah, there are. One of the main things is the SPUC Youth Conference, which is an annual event, and it is going to take place between the 24th and the 26th of February. And that is fantastic. I mean, some of the guys have already mentioned where they heard about Project Truth, and that's how they signed up. So it's a great place to just meet like-minded people. You know, I base the conference in 3 pillars: educate, inspire and empower. So with the main talks, we're looking to sort of educate the young people on various things. inspire. You know, we've got different sort of shorter testimonials, if you like, people telling their own story perhaps, and then empower. So we're trying to, you know, give the young people the tools that they need to go back into society and, you know, talk to their family and friends about these issues. So this year the conference theme is going to be about choice and coercion. So it's going to be, the theme is The Lies Beneath, it's called. And we're really excited that we've got keynote speaker to be Josh Bram from the Equal Rights Institute. So he's fantastic. We know Josh from being over in Washington DC at the March for Life. That's where we met him, and he's probably one of the best speakers on like relational apologetics I've ever heard. And a lot of the stuff actually that we do, how to train the young people in Project Truth about those kind of how to have dialogue and the apologetics and those kind of things is very similar to what Josh does. And he's been doing it for like years longer than we have, so like I think it's going to be like a fantastic keynote. And then a lot of the other stuff is, you know, we're threading, you know, coercion through all of it as well. So really excited about that.
Oh wow, that's fantastic.
So young people should definitely come to it.
Yes. So check out the link below for the website for Project Truth, and yeah, you don't want to miss this. Thanks everyone for joining me on Uplift today. Tune in again next week where we'll have more influential guests joining me in studio.